Welcome to Sustainable Leadership Live. I'm Lisa Danforth, your host, and today I have the fantastic dear friend, Heather Frechette-Crowley here today. Heather, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
Heather's going to be talking about StoryBrand and how we can utilize it in a way that helps us be more consistent in putting our visibility out there in a way that feels good and authentic. But before we jump in, I just want to read a little bit about Heather and why we have her here today. Heather is a certified StoryBrand guide and a principal and founder of Root Marketing. With a 20-plus year marketing career, Heather has led international marketing teams and has been the marketing team. She's helped small businesses and multi-billion-dollar global entities connect with their target audiences to grow market share and to generate revenue. And we have her here today to share her brilliance with us. So I say, let's jump right in, Heather.
Yes, I am ready. I'm caffeinated and ready to go, Lisa.
Okay, check out her mug, everyone. Hold that up there so people can see it.
Yeah, I was just telling Lisa, I don't even get it. It was my favorite Christmas gift. That may or may not have been requested by myself.
Excellent branding, Heather. I absolutely love it. So let's jump in. StoryBrand. We've almost all of us have heard about it. And again, we know that we need to be consistent. We need to be authentic, but it needs to be sustainable, and it can be overwhelming to create content and put ourselves out there. Mm-hmm. Where does StoryBrand come into helping us do this in a way that just feels better and easier?
Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. So definitely, I am a content creator and I have struggled with content burnout myself. So it is, the need for content is something that we will never fulfill everything because there's, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, someone is consuming content. But what I love about StoryBrand is that it allows you to create this foundational narrative that speaks to your client, that connects with your prospective clients in a way that allows you to just keep coming back to that narrative. It creates this foundation that really everything you do going forward in terms of marketing and messaging is based off of. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. Every time you log into LinkedIn to create a post, or what am I going to put on Instagram today, or put in the brochure, it's always recreating the wheel, which takes so much mental energy. And then in the end, people just say, oh, just hit send, or worse, don't hit send, and then never communicate with their audience.
Right, which is hard. I love what you said about recreating the wheel. When you said that, the visual that came to my mind is that narrative is really the focus of the wheel. It's the hub of the wheel that everything else comes out from.
Exactly. So, StoryBrand takes the power of narrative. And there's a statistic, I think it's something to the effect of people spend, over 70% of our day kind of daydreaming. And the only time you're not really thinking of something else is when you're actively engaged in a narrative. So when I'm watching Netflix, when I am kind of enveloped in this narrative, reading a book, etc. So StoryBrand uses the power of narrative to really help you connect with your clients, so that you can grab their attention and tell that story in a way that frankly ends in sales, right? Because you're here to help people. You're here, your business is a business to make money. So that's what the power of narrative can do for you.
Can you give an example or two of a narrative, just so that we have a concept, a foundation to be thinking off from, whether it's yours or one of your ideal clients?
Yeah, sure. So there are really 7 key components to the StoryBrand framework. But the one thing that is the guiding principle and that differentiates StoryBrand from any other kind of marketing method is that StoryBrand makes the customer the hero, and positions your customer as the hero throughout the narrative. So it's hard for us to ignore a narrative when we're the hero, when we're the main focus. it's really easy for us to turn our head and ignore a story when the business is the focus. It's interesting
Can you
because
repeat that? That
yeah,
was big, and I think we just skimmed over it.
yeah. So it's very difficult for us as human beings to ignore a story that puts us at the center. We all wake up every morning and not consciously, most of us say, I'm going to be the hero of my story today, right?
Mhm.
What do I need to do to make today work for me? And when you come across a story that puts you at the center, you're going to pay attention. But when stories, which 98% of marketing does, puts the business at the center, yeah,
Me.
it's super easy to just turn your head, right? And you know, I I don't care that there's this new glass cleaner that makes my mirror spotless, right? Because guess what? I'm trying to get up and get my child to school and run a business and serve clients.
And a
But
thousand other things. Right?
exactly. But if you tweak that and connect with people in a way that you call out their need and
Mhm.
how your service or product meets that need in a way that keeps them the center of the story, that's when you engage people.
What's in
Um,
it for me?
Exactly. And it's,
You just
it's interesting because as a small business owner, I think one of the things that we are kind of taught when we start out is tell your story, right? What makes you different? What makes you unique? And a lot of people, start and say, oh, I want to help women because of my background, or my grandfather started this business. And I'm not saying that those aren't important points,
but
but
don't
if
lead with
you
that.
lead, right, don't lead with them, because if you lead with them, you have lost your opportunity from the starting gate.
You just, if I remember correctly, just had a post about that I saw that was really good because it was funny. The thing I love about Heather is that she is absolutely brilliant, incredibly creative, and she brings humor to the work that she does, right? When we're working on really tough stuff of, tell us your story. I don't know about anyone else out there, but my mind goes blank. I'm like, well, I'm 57 and I'm a business owner and right, really sexy, exciting stuff.
Exactly.
But you
Exactly.
really bring the humor, which softens the environment for us to sort of step forward and be curious and explore things, which I just think is imperative in this work that we do so that we can get over ourselves and focus on our ideal client.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. And yes, I just came across a quote yesterday, and it said in reference to using humor, it said, humor is a way that you can essentially use a rubber sword to draw blood. So you can make,
That was an interesting visual.
yeah, it was. But I thought about it at first, and I thought that's correct, because you can make a point in a way using humor that people are more likely to accept. People are more likely to open themselves to receiving that, rather than come off defensive, right? So if I start and I say, look, nobody wants to know that your father started the business, right? Obviously, you're going to be defensive. But if I soften that and kind of explain why,
Mhm.
then I think people are more likely to acknowledge that and to receive the information.
Absolutely. I think when we soften things that there might even be some shame within there. Like, I don't know what my story is. So I want to lead with this and don't make me feel uncomfortable because it
Mhm.
is uncomfortable to sit in the unknowing, to squirm, to
It
figure it
is.
all out.
It really is. And again, that's what I love about StoryBrand and about putting the customer at the center, because then the spotlight is not on you. It is on your customer, on your prospective client, which is exactly where it should be.
Now, you mentioned that there are 7 foundational or pivotal
Mhm.
principles within this framework. Can you go over the 7 and then maybe choose 1 or 2 that you find that are really the pivotal pieces?
Sure. Yeah. So it essentially, right, it's not rocket science. It follows the same sort of story narrative, the components that make any story or movie successful. It starts with a character, which is your client slash hero. And that character has a problem. And spoiler alert, you solve that problem, right? That's where your product, your service has to solve that problem and has to really, in a crystal clear way, tell the hero that you can solve the problem. So the hero, they have a problem, and then they meet a guide, and you are the guide. So instead of your business being the hero, it becomes the guide. The guide would be someone like Donkey and Shrek, right? Or
Love Donkey.
yes, exactly. Or I can't think of in Star Wars, Yoda in Star Wars, right? So it's someone that takes that hero along on the journey. So the hero has the problem. They meet the guide, and the guide gives them a plan to solve that problem. And the plan can be and needs to be, in fact, really streamlined. So even though there may be 15 steps someone needs to take to work with you, you need to be able to distill it down to really 3 or 4 tops, because anything beyond that and our brain cannot absorb it. And we think it's too hard to work with this person. I'm going to go to someone else.
Decision fatigue is real.
It really is. Yes. So you give them a plan, and then beyond that, you as the guide, you have to call the hero to action. So that's your CTA. That's your call to action. You have to explicitly say, book a call with me, download this PDF, whatever it is, you need to specifically call them to action. And then that creates results. And those results are either success, which is the picture you paint of what life will look like when someone works with you, uses your product. And then conversely, if they don't work with you, it's going to result in failure. And you don't have to go, depending on your industry, you don't have to go deep into the doom and gloom, sorry.
But I read StoryBrand, and what I loved about it was like, you don't want to go deep into the doom and the gloom, but we as humans are driven more by failure or losing out than we are by winning, which was like, for me.
Exactly. And sometimes too, that failure can just be the status quo, right? They just keep on doing what they're doing. At the end of the day, and I tell clients when we're working on this portion of their brand script, which is that foundation, look, if you don't work with me, you're not going to end up dying alone, right? That doesn't equate to that automatically, right? But you probably are going to stay stuck, and you're not going to get the visibility that you need. You're not going to be able to create the content you need to connect with your clients. That's a very real possibility. And as you said, Lisa, the humans are more apt to be drawn to action by fear of something that we could lose versus something that we could gain.
That was such a powerful piece in his
book. And just like you, it's kind of one of those mind-blowing moments. And it's been explained, and I think Don might explain it in the book, that
can you say his last name?
Yes, Donald Miller. And I have my StoryBrand book right here. But he says in the book, if someone says, hey, if you do this, you'll get $20. It's like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do that. But then if someone says, if you don't do this, you're going to lose $20. I'm taking $20 out of your wallet. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. Now you're taking something away.
So interesting. Our human brains are wired in such a wild way. All right. So let's back up a little bit. How many of the principles have you talked about so far?
Yeah.
So guide.
I talk quickly. It's a stream. So I just really covered the 7.
Can you just name them?
Yep, exactly. So your character, who's your hero, has a problem. They meet a guide, which is you. You give them a plan. Sorry, I can't do that. You give them a plan. You call them to action. That's going to create results in either success or failure.
What I love about this, and what I really want to say to the audience, don't minimize this because it seems so simple. We as human beings, again, love to make things so difficult. This is such a powerful framework. It's simple, but it's not easy. And this is why it's really important to work with people like Heather that pulls it out, because love that mug, Heather. Because we need to be consistent. We need to be visible. We need to do it in a sustainable way that allows us to be authentic, and pulling out the story and the system of how to share it is so very important in us being successful, whatever success is to each one of us.
Yes, exactly. And it's, when I first read the book, and he has a number, Donald Miller has a number of books. When I first read Building a Story Brand years ago, I had this kind of, I call it a Post-it note moment, right? Because I was like, Post-it note, whoever thought of that, right? It's ingenious. And now we can't live without Post-it notes, but it's such a simple concept.
Mm-hmm.
And the same was when I finished reading that book, and I thought, oh my goodness, why do I complicate things? Why do we as society, marketing as an industry, it's most of the dollars spent on marketing are wasted because it doesn't work, because people try to make it this big thing, and they forget the foundational piece, which is the 7 components of that narrative framework.
It sounds like the foundational piece, making your ideal client the center of everything. It's not about, I'm going to do this. It's not about the how. This is just such a powerful process. And is there anything else, believe it or not, we're getting close to time. Is there anything else that you would like to share, a question that I didn't ask you that you would love to talk about?
I think as I said, I talk quickly, so I fit a lot in there. But I would just suggest, you can go to marketingmadesimple.com, which is the StoryBrand website. They have free resources there. They'll be able to walk you through creating a brand script. And I highly recommend everyone to do that. Just take time. I don't care if you already think you're on the right path. If you say, I have it down, just go there and create a brand script for your business. You can also create separate brand scripts for different divisions, for different client segments. It's really helpful because, especially as our businesses grow and we begin to offer subsets of services, etc., things change slightly. So it's always important to go back and make sure you have that solid brand script to work off of.
It is a great free download that really helps you map things out. And I've done it, and it's still not, it's simple, but again, it's still not easy. So I'd highly recommend just that CTA, reach out to Heather, set up a time to chat with her and have her help you walk through and just give you some highlights and to support you in really creating that your story brand.
Yes, I would love to. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, this has been wonderful. I love StoryBrand, and it does make things so much easier. I do have a question for you. What one habit or boundary has supported you in living and leading a sustainable life?
Oh, that is so good. So it is a journey that is never over. I'm finding, right? There's no silver bullet. But I think waking up early, to having quiet time by myself every morning before emails start coming in, before my husband or daughter are awake, helps me to center myself. And that really sets the tone of the day. So especially when I know it's going to be a crazy day, I'm like, nope, I have to do it.
Yeah, setting the intention for the day with the energy. I absolutely
Yes.
love that. Thank you for sharing. It's always so nice to hear how people help themselves be sustainable and just really live more comfortably. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Lisa.
Heather, where can people reach out, find you, connect with you?
Yeah, definitely. So my website is rootmktg.com, rootmarketing.com. I'm on Instagram a lot. It's at root_mktg. I'm also on Facebook. But I would love, feel free. I offer free 45-minute connection calls. So if you have questions about your brand script, just go ahead, go on my website and book a time. And I'm happy to connect and walk you through.
That's perfect. And definitely check out Heather's Instagram account. She does a great job, and she does these videos every Thursday. Thank you, Thursdays. For how long have you been doing that for?
Oh my goodness. It predates the pandemic, which is how I measure everything now.
Get
So
out of here. I didn't
it's
realize
been a
that.
while.
Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Yeah, you do such an amazing job. Heather, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you sharing your brilliance with us. And thank you to all of you who have joined us today. If you're watching this on the replay, please put in #replay to let us know. And look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.